We'll call the meeting to order and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call please.
Councilor Geisler.
Here.
Councilor Jelly.
Here.
Councilor Blah.
Here.
Councilor Peterson.
Here.
Mayor Boucher.
Here. Announcements. Do any councilors have announcements for tonight's meeting?
I'd like to congratulate Zam Plant and Taylor Mannion, both representing our country this year, different teams. So it's cool to see Hermantown, Minnesota on any international roster.
Thank you. Anything else? Mr. Mulder.
Mayor, I just wanted to give an update because I know that some members of the audience will be interested in this as well. The city did receive a petition that was sent to the Environmental Quality Board, or the EQB, that was then forwarded to us requesting an EAW. We need to respond in typically the deadline is 15 days, but we can also extend it for an additional 15 working days. So we have made that request and they said that was fine. We actually didn't need to make the request. We just needed to tell them we wanted an additional 15 days. We are preparing a response for that. And at some point in time, that'll come back to the city council. We envision that being on November 17th, but we have that petition and we are reviewing that for the an appropriate response.
Thank you. I have a short statement I'd like to read. As mayor of the city of Hermantown, I feel the need to address the breach of decorum and order that has recently been displayed at city council meetings and city commission meetings. Outbursts of cheering, jeering, clapping, and the yelling of disparaging comments have disrupted recent meetings. This behavior has also caused some to fear speaking up. The refusal by some speakers to follow our rules of decorum has been discourteous to those waiting to speak and caused some to give up and leave. I would like to apologize to anyone who felt their chance to speak was diminished or taken away by bad behavior. We will be taking action tonight and in the future to ensure that city meetings provide everyone with the chance to express their views in an orderly way. Civility is how we operate in Hermantown. We have a 3-minute limit for verbal comments, and written comments are always welcome and can be delivered before the end of the meeting. Anyone displaying discord behavior will be asked to leave. If order is lost to the point where the meeting cannot continue, an emergency recess may be called to restore order. I would ask that you all be courteous so that everyone can speak their piece without being interrupted or delayed. And we will move on to the public hearing for ordinance amending the fee schedule for licenses, permits, and fees, Section 270 of the Hermantown Code of Ordinances. Mr. Mulder.
As we do on an annual basis, we review the proposed fee schedule, and we look at that relative to the city's cost and areas that may or may need to add a fee or something like that. In front of you tonight is the 2025 fee schedule and then the 2026 schedule showing those changes. I'm not going to cover every fee change. Most of them are fairly small, but I do want to point out just a couple of items. One is we did add a late fee this year for liquor license and tobacco licenses. In the past, we've had problems with licensees being late, and we wanted to try to discourage that. So we did institute a late fee for those applications. There were some cases where we actually reduced the fee, particularly in the area of club licenses for alcohol. We did have a new section for administrative and zoning review, environmental reviews. We recently passed an ordinance to that effect, and we instituted a fee relative to those as well. And then finally, we did add utility rates where our utility rates for water, sewer, and stormwater are all increasing by 4.5% or less. I think water was 4.5%, sewer was 2.5%, and the stormwater was 3.5. So those are the highlights of the recommended changes.
Thank you. This is a time for public input on the ordinance amending Hermantown Code of Ordinances fee schedule. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to the council about this? If so, please step forward to the podium and start with your name and address.
Rebecca Gramdorf, 4198 Sully Road. I would like to ask, why are the sewer rates and the water rates increasing this year?
Mr. Mulder?
In large part because we buy our water from the city of Duluth. And so that rate has gone up. I want to say it was about 8 to 9%. And we're increasing our rates by 4.5. And then sewer, the rate that is charged by the Western Lake Superior Sanitary District went up as well. And so we're passing a portion of those costs on.
Does this have anything to do with the upgrade to our sewer related to the data center?
No. This is strictly for operations.
Is there anyone else that has questions or comments about the ordinance amending the fee schedule? Any other questions or comments about the fee schedule? Section 270, ordinance 2025-18. Hearing none, do we have a motion for ordinance 2025-18, an ordinance amending Hermantown Code of Ordinances, section 270 fee schedule? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Jelly. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Any questions or comments by counselors? Roll call, please.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is presentations. Mr. Mulder, could you give us a synopsis of the 3 presentations that were made at pre-agenda?
Sure. On a quarterly basis, our Director of Finance Administration just gives us a presentation on where we're doing in terms of the amount of money and where our money is invested. And then we also look at how we're doing on the budget. And so our Director of Finance Administration went through those numbers. So far, we are on track. Our expenses right now are going to be a little bit over budget, and we explained a little bit why that was, particularly in terms of we purchased some additional land along Morris Thomas Road near Johnson Road. And then we also had a new roof put on Public Works. So that was an additional expenditure. Some of that will be covered by some additional revenues. And then we've had a number of maintenance issues in our parks that wasn't budgeted, so we're over. But as a general rule, we're tracking right about where we thought we would be budgeted. Secondly, Director of Finance Administration presented the special revenue and enterprise fund budgets. As we go through the overall city budget, we look at different pieces. And so we looked at the special revenue budget. Special revenue is when we have revenue that is specifically for specific purposes. For example, park dedication, cable TV, the lease for the Central Wellness Center. And then we also have the enterprise funds. The enterprise funds are where we cover revenue for the sale of items and then the expenses related to that. So for instance, water, sewer, stormwater, and streetlight are our 4 enterprise funds. So we went through those preliminary budgets. Finally, we had a presentation by MediaCom. In the next month or so, we will be renewing the MediaCom franchise. And the franchise agreement is a non-exclusive franchise that allows MediaCom to provide cable TV, but more recently, they provide internet and broadband services as well. The franchise agreement is related specifically to cable TV and allows them to operate in our right-of-way. And so we will be looking at renewing that franchise agreement in the next month or so. Typically, we do those agreements are for about 10 years. So we're renewing one that was renewed 10 years ago, and this will be for a 10-year period.
Thank you. Moving on, we will now start public discussion. This is time for individuals to address the council about any item not on the agenda. We ask that you limit your time to 3 minutes per person. I have a list of people who have signed up for public discussion. First person is Jonathan Thornton, and on deck is Kim Parmeter.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Can you hear me?
Name and address.
Name and address, please.
My name is Jonathan Thornton. I live at 5869 Hermantown Road. I did not have an opportunity to speak on the 20th of October. The meeting, I was not in town, so I was not able to speak. I did, however, watch all 5 hours of the meeting. And I listened to over 50 of my fellow neighbors and citizens of Hermantown and other surrounding areas give compassionate speeches to you all. And after that, I heard almost no dialogue. And that right there speaks volumes and really is, it's upsetting to me and it's upsetting to many of us. Now I'm going to go down my letter here that I wrote back on October 16th. You all received it, but you've also received hundreds of letters. So I'm sure you probably did not have a chance to read this one in full. My involvement with the Hermantown community goes back decades. I was born and raised just a short distance from the proposed site of this development. This is the data center development that we've been speaking of that's been widely known now for a few weeks, only a few weeks. My wife and I have had the opportunity to raise our children next to Grandma and Grandpa on the same beautiful land that I grew up on. To say the least, I am passionate about our community and our neighborhood. My passion for this community translated into community involvement. I was at the table back in 2010 through 2012 when we formed a group called Advance Hermantown. And Advance Hermantown had 10 different drivers. Many of you are aware of this. One of those drivers had to do with this corridor, this southwest corner of the community called Adolph. During that time, we talked about improving that area with some more commercial development. At the same time, we talked about preserving that area for its rural character. This was discussed back in 2010. This was actually mentioned to my dad back in the day with Elmer Ruth, saying that this part of Hermantown should stay rural. Then in 2013, I was invited to participate in something called the Blandon Community Leadership Program. A couple of you up here are very familiar. I actually went through the cohort with you. Mr. Crace, Mr. Mulder. We had the opportunity to spend a week together along with some other community members. And we talked a lot about community involvement and leadership. One thing that really stuck out during that week that I really learned and I use in my everyday life is listening to learn. Listening to learn was a topic of one of those 5 days that we spent. I'm not seeing that being practiced these last few weeks, okay? In 2014, I was asked to participate in the Adolph Small Area Plan. This was a time where we got together and we talked about Adolph in particular, southwest corner of Hermantown. We talked about the fact that we still wanted it to be rural. If you read that report in detail, you can see that it has nothing to do with what's happening now.
Mr. Thornton, your 3 minutes is up.
And that's unfortunate, Mr. Mayor. That's very unfortunate.
Thank you.
I've got a lot more to say,
You can give it
and I will
to
be
us in
back up
writing
here
if you like.
at another meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And your name is? Lindsay.
So I'm going to continue speaking if that's okay.
Okay, you're not on the list here, Lindsay, but we'll write you down.
Is that okay to continue,
Yes,
Mayor?
Go ahead. You have another 3.
Is it okay to continue?
Yes, you have
Thank you.
another 3 minutes.
So in 2014, we did the small area plan, and if you read it in detail, you'll see that it has nothing to do with what you guys are proposing now, okay? In 2016, I ran for the Hermantown, I'm sorry, I'm getting really emotional now, so you guys gotta, I don't know why you did that to me, Mayor, but I ran for the Hermantown School Board as a write-in candidate. During that time I'm on the school board, we talked a lot about different things that were happening in the community. I did have a chance to speak with different council members. We actually, one of the things that we did was we converted the old middle school into a YMCA. It was a wonderful project for most people. It was part of my community involvement. Fast forward, I was done off the school board in 2020, a couple of years off, didn't really do much with this community, but then in 2022, I was asked to participate in the steering committee for the 2045 comprehensive plan. I'm going to drill down on this because I know my time is limited. I was asked to participate in this directly from Mr. Johnson. This invite came in, he clarified it earlier, but it was not in an open format. It wasn't in this open format. What he had mentioned back in October 20th, a couple weeks ago, he had mentioned that they started this process and the timeline was completely wrong. I'm going to tell you that that timeline was that the steering committee actually met 6 different times, and we started in September of 2022. We were also never invited to review the comprehensive plan. None of the steering committee members, except for those that are also on the council, were invited to see this. That's deceitful. Just a simple email to the 10 of us. By the way, 5 of the 10 have told me straight in my own conversation that they don't agree with how this all went down. The steering committee, the basis for all of what you've been talking about over the last few weeks of the comprehensive plan, was not even invited to review the comprehensive plan before it went to the mayor, or I'm sorry, before it went in front of you. This is a flawed process, a very flawed process. So, just to wrap things up a little bit, when I was at the meeting on October 14th in Solway Town Hall, a couple of you were there. I had a direct conversation with Mr. Ronchetti, who happened to leave, I guess. Mr. Ronchetti told me straight to my face, in front of 30 or 40 other people, that they did not invite the steering committee to that meeting. He also told me straight to my face that the steering committee was never engaged with after that point, okay? So that right there tells me something happened in September of 2024, something happened, and it's not good for our community.
Thank you.
I don't have much more to say. I'm too emotional. I don't need any more time.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm very upset about this, and it has to do with trust. It's trust. You
Thank
guys have lost trust. I trusted every one of you. That's why I didn't need to pay attention to all these different things that are happening. I trusted that you were going to do the right thing with the information on these 6 meetings that we had.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Next is Kim Parmeter, and after Kim is Paul Fish.
Good evening, Kim Parmeter, 5590 Stark Road, Midway Township. Good evening, I'm Kim Parmeter, President and CEO of the Hermantown Area Chamber of Commerce. Mayor, Council, thank you. A little bit about my day today. This morning, I shut off my alarm at 5:30 a.m. Some reggae music was synced in from Pandora because it's a much more fun way to start the day that way. I let the dog out in his GPS collar, keeping him safely in my property. And I sent a few emails, checked my bank account, and tried calling the kids after checking where they were on Life 360. No luck, went straight to voicemail. By the time I was getting ready for work this morning, I was streaming a podcast about happiness. At the office, I worked in Canva, pulling photos from the cloud, editing some Facebook posts before I went to a luncheon on data centers. Over the weekend, I used my debit card at Blackwoods and Quick Trip, Super One, just normal, everyday life. I know I can operate my Roku, my dryer, my dishwasher, and my vehicle, all from apps on my phone, but frankly, I'm not that techie. Here's the thing, behind every one of those moments, every card swipe, every GPS ping, every photo upload, podcast, or movie stream is a data center, and that's what is powering our modern day life. There's a lot of not in my backyard noise right now, out of context facts and speculation. Facebook right now reminds me of the early days of COVID when suddenly everyone was an expert and yet no one really was. What's unfortunate is that the people who actually live nearby are getting drowned out. Our Hermantown residents and our immediate neighbors, ones who are supportive and ones who are not. And they should be concerned that their voice is in danger of being wrapped up in the noise. Their perspective needs to be heard because when opportunities arise for negotiating, their concerns might help the community get to an even better version of yes for this project. If you care about the environment, there's no better place to build than in Minnesota. We're regulated to a fault. Ask any business owner. If you care about housing, this project opens up land that can finally connect to city water and sewer without burdening our taxpayers because the business will pay for it. That's an incredible gift to our community. And if you care about our young people leaving to the Twin Cities or beyond because they don't have the jobs or it's just not as exciting up here, well, that trend can start to reverse. We have to look beyond today and tomorrow. We have to look at the opportunities of the future. This data center will be built somewhere. Let's make sure it's built here, responsibly, proudly, and with the quality and vision Hermantown is known for.
Thank
Thank
you. Next is Paul Fish, and on deck is Jim. I've got Klukert. Oh.
My name is Paul Fish. I live at 3935 Solway Road. I've lived in this community most of my life. My three of four boys graduated from the Hermantown High School. My parents are buried in the cemetery in Hermantown. I attended this meeting last year. I was here from 4:30 to midnight. And I want to say, Mayor and the councilors that were present, I was appalled how disrespectful you were to the citizens of our community when they came up and gave heart, passionate testimony about things they believed in.
Thank you. Jim, you are next, and on deck is Derek Strum.
My name is Jim Kluckert. That's Klukkert.
Thank you.
German name. I can be found, in the interest of transparency, at 206 North 11th Avenue West in Duluth, Minnesota. As I did last week, I want to first thank the women and men of who are first responders, our police and fire department, who are here to make sure that our discussions are safeguarded. And this is democracy. This is what it looks like. And I am so glad you folks are here to take care of calming things down when people get passionate, as they will when they are defending their homes. I also wanted to, there's somebody named Chad Ronchetti. I hope I don't mispronounce that name, but with a name like Kluckert, you know, it happens. And apparently this gentleman came down to the Duluth City Council to accuse one of our stronger counselors, Wendy Dirkmeyer, of libel and slander and all like that. Boy, if you want city staffers adding fuel to the fire, keep that guy going, because he generates more headlines about this issue than you guys might want. I am concerned for civility. I believe that we want to have a good, rational discussion, and just getting our knickers in a twist is not all that persuasive necessarily. However, people will tend to do that when they feel severely threatened. Now, I am not in favor of disruption, but the disruption that is most evident to me is that certain people have neglected to follow through with their oath to defend the Constitution, to defend our democracy, and to defend the interests of the people who put them on this board before me. And, you know, there's a very famous document, and I'm sure you're all familiar with it, that when the government no longer heeds the wishes of the governed are righteously enabled to stand up and to say no. Now, I may find myself in that position. I have done so before. And if I need to take that kind of stand, I'm going to be civil. I'm going to be nonviolent, but I will be disobedient. And there's a line beyond which we will not tolerate indifference of our elected officials. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Derek Strum, and after that is Jeffrey Donahue.
Yeah, my name is Derek Strum, 5853 Highway 194. First off, I'd like to say you are being very disrespectful to everybody that's come up here. You keep looking at that clock. Start engaging with your people. That's what you need to do. Second of all,
You're out of order, sir. That's a warning. Next time you'll be asked to leave.
this data center, on average, you keep telling people it's only going to use 55,000 gallons of water. That's a lie. On average, a small one uses 110 million gallons per year. A large one uses 5 million per day. They're expecting this one to be the biggest one. I wasn't here 2 weeks ago when that happened. Now, the bad harmonics from this, on a 30-mile radius, these things act like the wind farms out in the ocean. They disrupt animals. We can't have any of that. The water cannot be used. Once this thing is finally complete, on average, electric bills jump 19%. Now, Minnesota Power was just bought by Black Sea. There you go again. Stop looking at the damn clock. Seriously. You want to, the fact that we got NDAs being signed for this thing, the fact that it took less than 5 minutes for you council members to actually approve the rezoning of this is crazy. Now, I've already proven you a liar earlier when we were talking about stormwater. And it's on record here. You know it and I know it. I've proven you wrong. You lied right here, and then you tried to call me a liar until I was willing to bring up witnesses to prove that you were. Now, the fact that you guys can't even discuss this and bring it to our attention, you will send out flyers for a roundabout, but you won't let us know about this. It's time right now that you all look yourself in the mirror, either resign or guess what? We will find people to take your place. And Mayor, I will start with you. You're up in 2028, and if I have to, I will run against you.
Thank you, sir. Jeffrey Donahue, and next after that is Noel Donahue.
Jeffrey Donahue, 5540 Pine Hill Road. I live in this township of Midway. Gentlemen, you do not have the right to build a data center in Hermantown. You do not. If you think you do, I'm removing that permission along with 95% of the population of the Twin Ports. You don't have the permission. The little town of Hermantown cannot decide that for 175,000 people that live in the north. You don't. You don't get to. You think you do, you don't. You don't get to fill in a watershed, divert a trout stream. You don't get to pollute our lake. Lake Superior has 10% of the world's above ground fresh water. The Russian oligarchs and the Chinese billionaires that own JP Morgan, BlackRock, and Elite Power don't care about our lake. We do. I don't know why you guys think you're working for the population, but you're not. You're not. You're doing what we do not want. Listen, 95% of us do not want this project. 95%. Why are you voting yes? Why are you rezoning when 95% of us do not want this project? You hid it. You lied. The circus that was presented last week to us, the cute little stories of jobs, homes, That was all lies. To say it was bullshit is an understatement. You guys, this is terrible. What you're doing, what you think you're doing isn't okay. This data center will not be built. This is going to be the first of hundreds. State of Virginia has 635 data centers with 300 more under development. It started with one. It started with one naive city council that said, hey, yeah, we get to build a new water tower and have some new water lines and sewer lines. Now they have 635. 35% of the world's hyper data centers are in the state of Virginia. This will not happen here. I'm asking you, back off. Do not do it. Don't try it. We will stand up. 95% of us will stand up and say, no, you cannot build it. Not here.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next is Noel Donahue, and after that is Dave Thornton.
Noel Donahue, 5540 Pine Hill Road, a little less aggressive than my husband, only because, well, I find you all to be repulsive, and I don't want to engage in getting myself upset around something. Your legacy, if this is what it will be, is something that your children will have to live with, the disrespect that you've caused for this community. I haven't lived here 50 years of my life. I haven't had the pleasure of that. I've only lived in this area for 3 years, and I moved here because of the lack of data centers, the lack of big business around, the fact that I could be on 10 acres, the fact that I could enjoy the lake, and I didn't have to worry about all the added stresses. Do you know what the second largest section in the United States is for data centers? Everyone knows Virginia. The second? Oh, it's such a beautiful place. It's what you're going to make Hermantown if you keep going. It's called Phoenix, Arizona. God, it's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, it's dry and it's desert and it's uninhabitable. People don't like it. People who can move away from there. I don't know if you've ever lived there. I moved from the West to come here. I moved from Southern California because this town, this area is magical, and it has everything that people should want and have the ability to have here. And we don't need to have one data center, which will then go to another. It is just another way of doing a war on water. It is a way for those with money, those with power, to take water away from those who they don't think need it. Water is a non-renewable resource, people. While we may think that it's renewable here because it rains a lot here, there's drought. Remember that? Other parts of this country, if it's mellow, it's yellow, if it's brown, flush it down. You learn that because you can't flush your toilet because they don't have water, and you want to let them have our lake. They're going to take it. I understand we can all think that they're going to do everything that they said they're going to do, and I hope that you were just naive enough to believe them and that it isn't because you're malicious at heart. But I can't understand it because the last meeting here, I listened to those guys talk about how they're going to hire people local. But they didn't hire a local company to talk about it with us. They hired someone from out of here, and they're going to have all these jobs, and they're going to do all this stuff. I'm afraid it's not going to come true. And by the time you let one in, the next one will follow. And before you know it, we're going to be the northern version of Phoenix.
Thank you. Next is Dave Thornton, and after that is Rebecca Grandorf.
I'm Dave Thornton at 5861 Hermantown Road. Been there for 57 to 58 years. Bought the place, I think I said before, and I had trouble with maybe a railroad being rerouted, and we stopped that. Another issue with the county wanted to replace the dump, and it was going to put it in our area, so we stopped that. Gravel pit wanted to be opened up, and we stopped that. And I said I want to stop this too. My son was up here passionately involved in giving his point of view. He's been involved in a lot of planning in this city. 50 years ago, we became a city. The reason why we became a city is because we didn't want to incorporate into Duluth. I don't want to make this into Duluth either. I was promised by the leaders of that time, Elmer Ruth and Wally Loberg, we were going to remain a rural concentrated area. And now this comprehensive plan puts us in that whole southwest corner, urban development. That's not what we wanted. It's not what we wanted 50 years ago, not what I want now. And it's not what it says on your advertisement for this town. Because it does say we're an urban area that respects rural living. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Rebecca Grandorf, and on deck is Pete Taylor.
Rebecca Gramdorf, 4198 Solway Road in Hermantown. Mostly I just have a lot of questions. I feel like there are a lot of things that are still unknown about this project and about the water extension that is for this project. So first off, my first question is, will I hear the data center from my farm 2.5 miles away? Yeah, the sound study that was made doesn't show anything more than, I don't know, 0.5 miles away. How about when the generators are running, will I hear it then? Why did you write into the zoning code that the sound levels related to generators need not be tested? What impacts to air quality can I expect when the generators are running? And will I need to mask while working outdoors like I did this year because of wildfire smoke? I work on a farm, I'm outdoors 8 hours a day, 5 days a week at least. Related to the water and sewer extension, I found something that I would just have a question about. In a presentation notes from the Utility Commission, it says the Adolph expansion presentation. David Bloff shared map of proposed utilities to the urban service area. Doug asked about funding for this project. It was said that sales tax and private funding would be the source. Timeline 2 to 3 years. There will not be assessments for connecting, but there will be availability charges. The Rose Road Water Tower would be enough to service about 20 to 30 homes per year for 20 years. Possible issues with Rocky Run Creek and boring under with utilities. The overall cost is about $100 million, hopefully mostly private funded. There will be a development agreement. So my question is, why the sales tax increase? Why the $100 million bond? Okay, if this company is supposed to be paying for it, because you guys said that was the case before. How much will the availability charge be? Will it be a one-time charge or will it be annual? Also, where is the development agreement, and are we going to see it before you guys issue a special use permit? I think we deserve to know if they're actually going to be paying for the water line or if it's just a promise. I also want you to explain what those possible issues with Rocky Run Creek are and boring under with utilities. Again, I'll ask, why are the water rates going up? So you guys said it's not related to this data center or the extension of the utilities. I hope that's correct.
3 minutes, Mr. Mayor.
If you'd like to wait around till the end of the meeting, we can answer some of those questions for you. Next is Peter Taylor, and after that is Kirk Ilenda.
Thanks for the opportunity to comment. There's some talk about additional.
Name and address, please.
Oh, sorry. Peter Taylor, 4198 Solway Road. Thanks for the opportunity to comment. So there's some talk about additional data centers. I think that's actually a critically important question. And there was, I believe, an email released through the Data Practices Act dated December 5th, 2024, from between Hermantown staff. It says, "Hi, Chad. Expect a call from Greg Fulmer on a project similar to Loon with similar NDAs on the following parcels." Those parcels are kind of near Maple Grove Road and just south of Misty Morning Drive. So, again, it says a project similar to Loon with similar NDAs. So when I use my reasoning, I think that is likely to be another hyperscale data center. So there's at least appears some conversations about another hyperscale data center. Maybe how many more are being contemplated or discussed? 1 more, 2 more, 5 more, 10 more, 20 more. I think if city council does not know about these, you need to take whatever action you need to take to discover these additional hyperscale data centers. Maybe you already know, I have no idea. But this is important to the future of the area. Like, what does Hermantown want to be? Does it want to transmogrify into another Northern Virginia, or does it want to stay as kind of the Hermantown we know? So I really encourage a conversation about that. It should include the public. It probably should include adjacent land, adjacent governments. So what is this future we want? Let's be intentional. Personally, I don't think 20 data centers is a good plan, but at least there should be a conversation, a plan, and a choice. And there just needs to be more transparency about this. So again, another data center appears to be another data center based on the email. That is a reasonable reading of this email. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you. Kirk, Alenda, and on deck is Nick Reinert.
Yeah, it's Kirk Islanda, 3913 North 21st Street, Superior, Wisconsin. Also work at 3801 Winter Street, Superior, Wisconsin. Mayor, City Council, thank you for being here. Again, my name is Kirk Islanda, Vice President, Business Development with Lakehead Constructors, and I am here to speak in support of the data center. At Lakehead, we are a 110-year-old construction company based in Superior, Wisconsin, with an office up on the Iron Range. We employ skilled union tradespeople throughout northeastern Minnesota, many of which could work on data centers. They include carpenters, bricklayers, laborers, pipe fitters, operators, painters, to name a few. On average, we send out over 1,300 W-2s every year. These paychecks support the hardworking people and their families. In our case, 90% live within 90 miles of the Twin Ports. Many living here in Hermantown, and many more of our ironworkers, carpenters, and millwrights have been trained right here in Hermantown at the local union training centers, ensuring our workers are well-trained, paid great wages, and have great benefits. In my role at Lakehead Constructors, I am also a part of the Twin Ports Construction Alliance, a group of area union building trades and construction firm leaders that work together to support a healthy construction market, a growing economy, and to help provide relevant information to our community leaders and our area residents on the needs and benefits of these construction projects. I'm amazed at how much data I personally use, and as in our construction company. Myself, like many of you, I use an iPhone. Currently, I have over 13,000 photos on there, thousands of personal and company emails, many contacts. One of my favorite apps is my Strava app, where I track my mountain bike rides, which I can now get a 3D image of where I ride. Access to my company OneDrive, where I keep all my work files. Just last week, I was at Essentia. I had a checkup, and there they have all my electronic medical records and imaging. And also my company, we keep all of our thousands and thousands of construction data files out in the cloud, including information on our client accounts. Data is now central to all of our lives. It is the latest in what we call critical infrastructure to our personal and work lives. Data within our community is needed utility, and it's no different than how we treat heat, electricity, clean water, or wastewater treatment. We need data centers to support this data demand. Right now, there are over 300 data centers and many more planned for construction in the United States. Our region should find a way to take advantage of this economic opportunity, as it will provide for years of good-paying construction jobs, permanent living wage jobs, and valuable property tax base for Hermantown, not to mention the many more community benefits seen in other communities that host a data center. In addition to this data center, we should also consider the potential of other industries that come to the communities with the data centers. Advanced manufacturing, technology firms, and service providers all growing our base for innovation, talent, and supporting of these industries. In the past, our region around here has seen many booms and stagnant construction markets. Most recently,
3 minutes, Mr. Mayor.
3 minutes.
thank you.
Thank you. Next is Nick Reinhardt. After that is Dan Urshan.
Hello, my name is Nick Reinhardt. I live at 4976 West Arrowhead Road in Hermantown, Minnesota. Just want to check, can everyone hear me tonight? Give me a thumbs up. Joe, good? All right. So I'm not going to complain about the data center and go on my usual spiel, yada, yada, yada. I just want to make sure we're all being heard here. I know a lot of us have sent meaningful communications, asking questions, asking to be involved, just wanting to know more. And I feel like a lot of us feel like we're just being ignored. I completely understand that your emails are overwhelmingly huge right now, and there's a lot going on. But a couple questions I'm going to ask the group behind me, and I'm not going to look behind me. How many of you have sent, a raise of hands, how many of you have sent meaningful emails you want to be responded to? And now how many of you have gotten a meaningful response to those emails? Now, I don't know what those hands look like behind me. They didn't look behind me at all, but I just ask, you know, people here asking questions. They want to be part of the community. They want to be part of these discussions. And I understand that there's state statute that protects trade secrets and agreements, you know, while we're working on economic development things. So all I ask tonight, think about it, look at these people in this room. They're likely not going to stop coming, and just try to work with us some way, somehow. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Dan Urshan. Thank you. And Abri
Deveretti.
What's that?
Deveretti.
Deveretti?
Deveretti.
Avi, okay. Sorry, Avi.
Nope.
And on deck is Tom Bates.
Abhi Deveretti, 4958 Greystone Street, right here in Hermantown. First things first, Mayor, council members, thank you. Thank you for your time. You guys are elected. You do this out of the goodness of your heart. So number one, thank you. And then for city staff, I'm sure this has been a trying time. And for my neighbors who are here in opposition of this project, I hear you. I hear the challenges. I hear the scared feelings in your voice, and I know that feeling because I have felt that on many other things as well. A quick little background about me. I know I spoke about this at the October 6th meeting. I've got an education from the University of Minnesota Duluth in computer science and electrical and computer engineering. I've been around power systems. I've worked on transmission lines. I've helped design, develop, build data centers, operate data centers, consume data centers to the tune of 7 figures annually. As a potential wanting to be business owner, I hear what was said earlier today about the regulation in our state. It is insane. The AUAR process did take 6 months, and while some of us were not paying attention, we maybe missed things that were posted about it, it did take a very long time. I want to talk about 2 big things that have been seen on Facebook, have flooded my inbox, have dominated conversations in our neighborhood for the past couple of weeks here. The 2 things really are around water use and electricity. I want to start off with electricity rates. The Washington Post had a fantastic article this week talking about why electricity rates are going up, not just in Hermantown, but across the country. The answer is aging infrastructure. We've had electricity here for the last 60-something years. The poles that were supposed to last 20 years have made it 60 years, and we've never invested in them. So am I surprised power rates are going up? No. We also hate unsightly power lines, so we bury them now, which makes for an even more expensive utility rate. On the water use, I hear you guys. Water is expensive. Water is also a non-renewable resource. We are so fortunate to live next to Lake Superior. Lake Superior's got 3 quadrillion gallons of water in it. I know as an engineer, I look at numbers and I think of them in a different term. Scale is really, really hard. 50,000 gallons drawn every second would drain Lake Superior in 2,000 years. That's an insane amount of water. Now, I don't want to take it for granted, but it is an insane amount of water. Data centers are great neighbors. I've slept next to a hyperscale data center for a week during the course of my work, and it is dead silent. I'd love to showcase what that looks like and would love to take the opportunity to maybe share that with others at some point. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Next is Tom Bates, and after that is Bob Kohlmeyer.
Hi, my name is Tom Bates. I live at 5369 Morris Thomas Road in Hermantown here. And I'm going to take a little different tact, if it's okay. You know, you guys have invested quite heavily in this data center, time, energy, the whole shamir. I know you have. And there could come a time, I'm just saying could, when you decide to back out. Not saying, just saying, okay? If that time comes, remember, we got your back. Just remember, we've got your back. We're not going to turn on you and hang you out to dry. If you ever come to the place where you have to back out and there's a big, big fight about it, we're behind you. You see what I'm saying? You hear me good? We'll fight with you. That's all I had to say. All right? Have a good evening.
Thank you. Next is Bob Kohlmeyer, and on deck is Emma Rickman.
My name is Bob Comer. I live at 5757 St. Louis River Road in Hermantown. Thank you for having me up there. I had the mayor out to my house on Saturday, the 19th of October, and I'd like to ask you a few questions if you'll take them about that meeting we had.
This isn't a question and answer type forum, but if you're still here at the end of the meeting, I can answer questions for you.
Well, my question pertains to the designation of the BLM zoning in my neighborhood. I know we talked about, when you were at our house, you talked about not wanting, I asked you if we put an M2 designation in there, why wouldn't, that would comply with what Mortensen is asking for an industrial manufacturing industrial. Sorry, it's a little late and I haven't been sleeping very good because of this whole thing. We're in a residential zone and Mortensen wants to build a very large project in a light manufacturing designated area. They continually refer all their literature or writings to me. They specify a large, not a large, but an industrial commercial development project. And you guys switched this over to a light manufacturing. And the reason I see this is that light manufacturing allows this type of business to operate in a residential district. That's where I live, in a residential district. You did not want to have a cement plant put in our area because of objectionable noises, I take it, as M2 would specify. If you've made it heavy manufacturing to match what Mortensen is saying they're going to build here, then you couldn't approve of that because it's in a residential district. And it's not allowed because of noise. And speaking of noise, before I go ahead on that, has there been any, well, I can't ask a question, right?
We can't answer it. You can
I'm
ask.
not seeing anything in the literature I've read that says you've done a study on the amount of noise that the construction period will produce. That's 8 to 10 years of construction. What about the beep, beep, beeping of the?
3 minutes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next is Emma Rickman, and after that, Sarah Winter is on deck.
Emma Richtman, 5215 Chris Drive. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. This is not something that I enjoyed doing, but it is something I am compelled to do. I live 2.5 miles from the proposed site, and I am losing sleep, feeling sick to my stomach, and shredding tears for my neighbors and my community. I live on a line where trees were cut for the new substation, and the weeks that it took to clear the line, you could hear the hum of the equipment. It created an absolute growing current of anxiety within me. But the full build out for this hyper data center will take 8 to 10 years. That sounds quite fun. Mayor Boucher, hold on, missed paragraph. Think about these people. Think about their mental and physical anguish you are causing them, causing us. Is a little piece of you dying inside, knowing you will destroy countless people's lives and livelihood? Some of these people who live next to the hyper data center will be dead in 30 years. They don't have the luxury to wait for a line of ornamental trees to grow 30 feet tall, which won't even be tall enough to cover the building itself, to become their new Oak Hill. Mayor Boucher, when you were first told about the data center, you said wow in response to hearing about 50 full-time jobs being created. Many of us are saying wow too. Wow at the lack of respect and transparency for the community that elected you. Wow to the abuse and misuse of an AUAR. Wow to letting big money talk and instead of consulting with the wants and needs of your constituents. Mr. Ronchetti, who is not here this evening, reading through the FOIA documents, it is clear you are chipper and excited at the scope and scale of this project. Being newly hired at the time, I could see why you would want to sink your teeth into $1 billion project. You're certainly trying to create a name for yourself, and I think we can argue at this point you have. We are not a bullet point on your resume. A lie through omission is still a lie. When someone lies to you, it's because they don't respect you enough to be honest. They think you're too stupid to know the difference. Stop gaslighting us. We are smart and you know it, and that's why you hid it to begin with. The playbook of acquiring property for hyper data centers is playing out all over the US, and you fell folly to their predatory tactics. I'll leave you with a few parting questions, understanding they won't be answered. Why are 5 additional parcels north of this current site subject to NDAs similar to that of Project Loon? Why, in an email from David Wolf, share with you that we can get an additional 600,000 gallons of water per day from the city of Duluth when Mortenson stated it will only need 50,000 gallons per day at full campus build out? If this is the case, then why are they, as stated by Chad, and I quote, still evaluating a water-cooled option even if it is a second phase, unquote. Second phase. While I have not had the time or the capacity to sift through all the FOIA documents yet, even if I am still underinformed at this point, the sentiment remains the same. You have completely detonated the trust with the people of Hermantown and beyond. Something isn't adding up. Many things are not. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sarah Winter, and after Sarah is Clarissa Eck.
Hi, thank you again for taking comment from everyone tonight. I appreciate giving us a chance to speak because, like a previous commenter heard, I think sending emails is probably not a very effective use of our time in communicating to you since you seem overwhelmed and unable to answer any emails. So a couple.
Your name and address.
Oh, sorry. My name is Sarah Winter, and my address is 3658 Birch Road in Hermantown. A couple of years ago, we found ourselves deep in the decision about whether we should stay in Hermantown or whether we should move up the North Shore or move down to the cities. And we decided to stay here because we love this place. We love the space that we have here. We love the stars at night. We love the quiet and the peacefulness. So we have put down our roots. Last winter, we built a sauna. We love living here. It's a fabulous place to live. We have become successful business owners. We've raised our kids here. My parents live here too. We brought them here with us. And now I can see that you risk those things that we love about Hermantown. You want to turn out our stars with the light pollution from this, for those of us who live close to it. You want to turn out the stars for us. You want to give away our quiet nights on the porch for 10 years of construction on this building. And really, I can hear things all over Hermantown. I can hear all sorts of things. If it's there, we will hear it. If you are for this, you and I and many of our neighbors fundamentally disagree about what quality living looks like. Don't give our wonderful, sweet city away to a Fortune 50 company run by a billionaire. This is a pivotal point in our city's history, and you get to be here to make that decision. I honestly can't see any benefit in this. We talk about jobs, and just in many situations, those jobs have not come to fruition. It's a small amount of jobs. Our companies employ more than those 40 or 50 jobs. The construction jobs, my brother and sister-in-law live in Virginia, and my brother-in-law is in the construction trade. And it's a group of construction workers that go around building these. It's not local construction workers who do it. So I know that Lakehead is here pitching for the job, but it's not the way they do it. They bring in construction workers from outside. Tax revenue, big companies have the best lawyers to get the very lowest tax bill possible. The construction, we're talking construction along Morris Thomas Road. We're talking construction, of course, in the location. How many of us loved the Can of Worms construction project? That was so fun. That's going to be really fun along Morris Thomas Road. This is a 10-year long construction, 10-year loud construction project. If there are covenant, thank you.
Thank you. Next is Clarissa Eck, and on deck is Joanne Bates.
Good evening, Clarissa Eck, 3505 Solway Road. Mayor and council members, respectfully, I really wish this wasn't the only opportunity I ever had to address any of you. In my experience, though, thus far with the city of Hermantown and the city council, it doesn't appear there's any interest in the voices of the residents of this community being heard. So I thought instead of talking about resident concerns in our homes and families, or talking about the documented destruction data centers bring to communities all over and repeatedly fail to produce the tax benefits or financial gains promised, I thought that I would talk about you. And I apologize if I mispronounced your names. Mayor Boucher, you've been sitting for so long, I couldn't go back that far. But since January of 2023 and through mid-July 2025, there's been 618 resolutions you voted on, and you voted against 3. There's been 35 ordinances, you voted against 0. Councillor Geisler, during that same time period, January 2023 to mid-July 2025, you voted on 499 resolutions. You abstained from 1. You passed all the other ones. You voted on 30 ordinances. You voted no 0 times. Councillor Hajil, sorry.
Jelly.
You voted on 522 resolutions. You abstained from 1. All others you voted yes. You voted on 35 ordinances. You voted no 0 times. Councillor LeBlanc, you are the winner by far. Out of 519 resolutions, you voted against 16, 3%. Out of 35 ordinances, you voted against 0. Councillor Peterson, you are the newest sitting member since 2025. You voted on 88 resolutions, you voted against 0, and you voted on 10 ordinances, and you voted against 0. How is it possible that every resolution, rezone, ordinance, special use permit is good for Hermantown? The answer, it isn't. It isn't possible, it's not probable. Instead, what is probable, that unlike all the residents behind me that have come before you week after week since we learned through a Star Tribune article and forced data request, these residents are strong. Our voices are strong, our resolve is strong, our fight is strong. But this board is weak. Your voting record is weak. And I say this literally, since there's not a single woman sitting before me or who sits as a member of city government or on the city council. You are yes men. You are a good old boys club who pat each other on the back, but we continue to say no. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Joanne Bates, and after that is Carrie Herron. Okay, Carrie? Carrie Herron?
All right. Hi, my name is Carrie Heron. I'm at 37 4th Street, Proctor. And I shouldn't be here, not because I'm a Proctor resident addressing a Hermantown City Council. I shouldn't be here because I shouldn't have to get this involved in a local political matter that's, again, not even my own city, but here we are. Here I am getting involved because it is so important, and it is just an egregious wrong that is being done here. That again, we are here, we are showing up to tell you again that we do not want the data center here. And you guys liked stories at the last meeting here, so I've got a little bit of a dated reference here. It's actually a lesson I learned from MTV's Daria. Gonna date myself a bit. So Daria is actually a spinoff of Beavis and Butthead, believe it or not, but a lot of good lessons to be had there. In one episode, the principal of her high school decides to get sponsorship from a soda company to get more money for the school, a new scoreboard, yada, yada, yada. Starts out small, few posters, few vending machines, quickly spirals to comedic effect. Cheerleaders in tubes, canned soda cans, they can't pom-pom, they can only roll away. They're on the roof, the buses, posters, vending machines everywhere. The principal is under fire to sell more soda. She goes nuts in the end, big thing. But every time Daria speaks out against what is going on, the sleazy soda guy says, well, you drink soda, don't you? And every time Daria would angrily say, that's not the point, because it's not. It's not whether you drink soda, and it's not whether you use smartphones and technology. I use it every day. I've used ChatGPT to make really stupid photos of my dogs, and I love it. It's great. But the way you go about something matters. Doing all these secret deals in the dark, trying to rush through projects before the public can catch on, that all matters. It's not the way to do it. And if this data center gets built or pushes forward, there are better ways to build these sorts of things and to have the technology that we need. There are better ways to support our increasing digital world that's not at the expense of the environment. I have heard nothing but bad about data centers since I have started getting involved in this. I have yet to see one really concrete good thing about them other than that they make money for the mystery Fortune 50 companies that represent them and whatever secret deals the local municipalities make. So again, we are very concerned. We want answers and we want our trust back. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak that is not on the list? If so, come forward and start with your name and address, please.
My name is Tim Resberg, 3646 Midway Road. There's a lot of questions that you have been asked and a lot of answers nobody's getting from you gentlemen. One is, what about the people when their wells are going to be going dry within at least a minimum of 2 miles or more when they wake up? Yous have never brought that issue up. Mortensen never has. Why this place is being, industrial place is being built underneath the presumption it's going to be a light business? Because one of you councilmen said it's going to be like Adolph's store. Nowhere near that. Why can't it be built over on Highway 53 where everything's already zoned? You got water, you got sewage, and there's high power lines there that this business, they can tap into. They're only here to try to save down billionaires a few dollars. But start thinking of the people and the taxpayers. The property values are going to plummet around there. And Hermantown has always been known, people want to move here because of the rural areas. There is nobody that's going to move here because of a data business or a center. The questions that Mortensen has been trying to answer is nothing but false. The noise factor is going to be crazy. I worked on construction for 40 years as a union electrician. Some of the stuff that Lake had said is not true. I've worked on such things as nuclear plants, new ones, and I've worked on databases. The backup generators for these things, they have to start up every so often to check them, are loud. I've wired them up. What kind of fuel do you guys have any idea what kind of fuel they're gonna run these backup generators off? What's gonna happen if something goes wrong with that, then they leak? And now you're talking about Rocky Run, and you're also talking about Midway River, where the pollution off of there. And then with the blasting for the ledge rock, I don't know if you, any of you have any idea how far down the ledge rock is in that neck of the woods. It's not down very far. They're gonna have to dynamite it. And what's that gonna be doing to people's homes and foundations with that vibration going all over the place? This doesn't belong in a rural. The Adolf people have already voted down a few times already not to put a BLM light business or anything else in Adolf. They wanted to keep it rural, and they wanted to keep it the way that it is. Because
3
my
minutes,
great
Mr.
grandparents and that farmed out there.
That's
So-
3 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, and it would be nice if you guys could answer some of them questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, if someone else would like to speak,
Claim my time instead of.
sure.
Okay, I am Joanne Bates. I live at 5369 Morris Thomas Road in Hermantown. And unlike some people, I haven't felt disrespected at the meetings, but I can tell you I have felt disrespected by the short term and the lack of answers. So I appreciate all the time you've poured into listening to us. It is hard to look at deadpan faces when you're talking, but you know, we all have the face we have. A lot of people here are talking about people who use phones or other tech as hypocrites, and therefore we shouldn't be against this data center. And I don't think it's true that it's a bad thing to have ideals and want a better life for our neighbors while also have a job and live in the world as it is. Doesn't make me a hypocrite. And I am looking forward to you answering some questions tonight. So thank you for offering to take time to do that.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council? If so, come forward and start with your name and address. Oh, we have a fight here.
Thank you. My name is Kylie Rokas. My address is 615 11th Avenue East, and I'm from across the bridge in Superior.
The last name again?
Rokas, Rokus.
Thank you.
I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, so this will be a little disorganized, so thanks for hanging in there with me. The first thing I want to say is I want to say thank you to all the people that were here last time until midnight. That was an amazing sacrifice for people who have to work early in the morning, so I really appreciate that. I want to bring up the point about those of us who are opposed to the data center using tech. I agree that tech is something that makes our lives better. And I think that we are all willing to sacrifice for the good of the community. If I know that something I'm going to do is going to harm future generations, then I'm not going to do it. I work as a mental health therapist in the community, and one of the big pushes right now is using AI for documentation to save time. I refuse to do that because I know that AI uses so much water and is harmful for so many communities. I think that all of us sitting in these seats here are willing to make those kind of sacrifices for our neighbors. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Please start with your name and address.
My name is Annette Ralph.
5781 St. Louis River Road. Within this last week, I turned on my computer and was looking at different articles concerning data centers. They are building data centers out in Sparks, Nevada, using EV, old or prior used batteries. They do not need to tap into a power source like this substation. They do not need all that water. They're built out far away from everyone's homes, properties, whatever. They're not ruining people's lives and ruining their property, destroying their wildlife, destroying their wells. All you have to do is turn on your computer and read about it. They build them way out in the middle of nowhere. They don't bother anybody. They're not taking anyone's homes away from them. Just read up on it. Do your homework. This is crazy.
Thank you. Next. Name and address, please.
Gail Johnny Jack, 5195 Levake Junction Road, Hermantown.
So, wait, sorry, you spoke too fast. Can you just say the
Gail Johnny Jack.
address?
I hope that didn't take away from my 3 minutes.
No.
No, hasn't started yet.
I'm sorry, I just didn't get the address.
5195 Levake Junction Road.
Okay, sorry.
You have all broken our trust. It's as simple as it is. With all the secrecy, I don't trust a single one of you anymore, not for anything. And I did trust some of you for a while. Not anymore. A question. So one data center, and then there's talk about properties somewhere else for another data center. How do the cumulative effects, the cumulative impacts of multiple ones get analyzed? Because we know that that's what's come down the pipe. And the cumulative impacts have to be looked at. I probably won't need my 3 minutes because I'm not going to remember everything I wanted to say. I called my brother recently and told him about this, and he said, well, we all use data. There's the argument. Where would be a good place? Places that are already heavy industrial, so that you're not mucking with people's lives and properties. Put them where there's already big, heavy-duty stuff going on. This isn't it. This community, this ruralness is not it. And I don't know how they talked you into it, but I have to think, I just really think, based on what I've read, we've all been reading online what this is all about and how it's impacting other communities. And I think you're all kind of naive. I think that they have pulled you in and dangled dollar signs and water lines and whatever. And I think you're naive about what's really going to look like, what it's really going to look like in the end, cumulatively, not just environmentally, but on people, our mental health, our world here. I don't think you see how it's going to come through. I know they tell you all these good things and how they're going to do this and that and the other thing. One thing I read was they always find loopholes, and it won't turn out the way they say it. So be aware that they're bigger than we are. They're bigger than you are. And they can do a whole lot of stuff that you never even agreed to because they're big. So why do we want that bigness here? Let's find more smaller local businesses that can fill some of these jobs gaps. Meanwhile, I don't know how you get back the trust of the people. I don't, but you better start thinking about it because it's shattered.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the council?
Hi, my name's Owen Lyons, 5143 West Arrowhead Road. Have you found a different site yet? Thank you.
Next. Name and address, please.
My name is Josh Sandstrom. My address is 3892 Munger Shaw Roads. That puts me about a half mile south of the Munger Tavern and about a little over 2.5 miles from the data center site. So I'm against it for a lot of the reasons that have already been talked about. So I won't go into that too much. I'll just want to talk on one of the more practical issues, which is property values for the folks that are nearby. I'm personally worried about how that may affect me. I know I'm a little over 2.5 miles away, so I'm hoping it won't be too much, hopefully, but it's really hard to know. And I also have the fun of having the new power lines coming literally just south of my house too. So, I don't, that's a separate project. I don't know if that was, if that's needed because of the data center or if that was a thing completely separate that was going to happen anyway. So, I won't go into that either, but nevertheless, I'm nearby and associated with this problem. But, the thing that I'm concerned about is, how these kind of data centers have been popping up across the rest of the United States. And, really, they're kind of taking advantage of these easy to grab land areas that are, predominantly residential and just kind of taking them over. And so I really, I just think that if we want to let a Fortune 50 company come into the city, I don't really want it to, because I think Adolph should be rural as it is. But if it must, I think there just needs to be more done on their part, known so that the residents nearby, and especially those that are within, like, let's say half a mile or so, that are really close by this thing where their property values could drop who knows how much, they're given some kind of compensation, an opportunity to get out of there, just something so that this isn't just taking advantage of the citizens of Hermantown and the nearby communities that really don't deserve to have that happen to them. Let's make it so that if we want to let a Fortune 50 company into our city, that it's a benefit for everybody. So I think that more homework needs to be done on that. I think they should be more responsible for that, for those who are around, and hopefully that can set a better example for how data centers could be, incorporated into a community if they must. So a lot of people have been calling this the Hermantown Data Center. I'd like to call it the Adolph Abomination, and I'll end with that for a little.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. Name and address, please.
Kathy Peterson, 4601 Otsego in Lakeside. I am here because I'm very, very sad. I hadn't planned on talking this evening, but I keep picturing some of the photos I've seen around the country of homes that have almost no value anymore because they have data centers in their backyards. In their backyards. Would you all want that in your backyards? I know you're going to say no. Who would want a data center in their backyards? I've also read ridiculous things like electricity increasing by 237%. Y'all would have to end up paying that too, I would think, if it comes to that ridiculous state of affairs. I'm old, but I have a huge amount of hope left in my heart. And I'm hoping that you all can look at us and say, I have changed my mind. I'm not going to do this thing to my community. I'm hoping that that's going to happen with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Name and address, please.
My name is Sarah Lofald. I live at 5502 Hermantown Road. And once again, I'm here to voice my concern over the proposed data center. At the first meeting on October 6th, after the data center project was confirmed by media only days prior, multiple residents spoke with concern over the quick turnaround of the residents being informed of the intent for the site and the vote to approve the AUAR. For the site. Some stating that an AUAR would not be appropriate for the project this large and that an environmental impact statement or environmental worksheet should be used instead. Shortly after these concerns were made, the council voted to approve the AUAR, giving residents only a handful of days to voice any concerns when we actually knew what the project was going to be. Many more brought up concerns over the lack of transparency about the project, stating that residents need to be more informed about the proposed data center before changes are made to zoning and an environmental review is approved. It was after public comment on the zoning for the site that Mr. LeBlanc stated that transparency hasn't happened yet. This is just a theoretical document. We haven't got to the transparency part yet. Mr. Wickland assured residents that we are very much at the beginning of the process, not at the final, or not at the end or the final stage. But at the same meeting, details regarding water consumption, jobs, energy usage, and more was made available to all attendees as a handout for a potential project. This seemed rather strange to me that so much information would be already available for something that was only at the beginning stages. It was after this meeting that emails and other documents were made public to show pretty clearly that this proposal was most certainly not in its beginning stages. Project Loon had been in the works for very much longer than what would be considered the beginning of the process. At the next meeting on October 20th, extensive information about the size, number of buildings, theoretical water and power usage, light and sound pollution, expected jobs, and more had been discussed by Minnesota Power, now owned by BlackRock, Mortensen Construction, the builders for the site, and other groups with a vested interest in the project. This again leads many of us to the conclusion that this project has been in the works for much, much longer than the handful of weeks that residents have been made aware of. Residents then spoke for hours about their continued concerns over the data center project. People from around the area filled the chambers, packed the conference room next door, and waited in the entryway. When was the last time a city council meeting got that much attention? Now, I could talk about my concerns about the environmental impacts to the wetlands, about inviting multiple. Yes, sir. My concerns for the impacts to the wetlands, about inviting a multi-billion-dollar corporation into our rural community, about what kinds of recourse we have if something were to go wrong, what kind of community we want to be. I could also talk about the hypothetical benefits of this project, hypothetical jobs, hypothetical tax revenue, hypothetical transparency. But you've already heard so much about that already. The website shows a beautiful view of what this project could be. I have yet to hear any concerns that any of you might have had about this project. Instead, it's just this beautiful painted picture that's going to be in the middle of a forest. This site is about a mile by a mile, 400 acres, including the Minnesota Power Transfer Center. It takes approximately 1 minute to drive a mile in your car. It takes approximately 20 minutes to walk it if you're going a pretty good clip. A lot of people don't realize how big this place is going to be. It's huge. I just drove by it twice. It's massive. And in the middle of a forest and wetlands, and it's going to be concrete. That concerns me greatly because I live on 160 acres and I cannot imagine that turning into concrete. I could go on. But instead, I'm going to ask you, if the residents of Hermantown show up to a city council meeting and voice their opposition to inviting a Fortune 50 company to build a 1.8 million square foot data center complex in the middle of a rural area, will you stop the project? Will you stand by your own words and listen to your constituents? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council?
Mayor, I'd like to ask for a point of personal privilege.
We have one person that would like to speak. Let's try and get to the end of the line here before we take a short break. Okay, go ahead. Name and address.
My name is James Thorstensen. I live at 5784 Hermantown Road. There has been a lot of information out there. I did go to your comprehensive plan over here in just across the hallway. And it was impressive, and they did give the information that, hey, we're doing this. You know, we felt that area is underutilized, and we like to bring water and sewer out there. Nothing said about a data center. And I was really shocked was when I looked around in that big conference room, Jordan Earnshaw was the only one I seen in there, myself and one other person. I don't know how the community, don't know how the community can actually give their input if they're not there. They don't know what's there. I doubt there's a lot of people even knew what was happening. Minnesota Power gave you a little postcard. I was there for that also. At least they're saying, hey, come and see our information. That being said, they said they were going to harden the power lines, make them more dependable. Once again, nothing said about a data center. And the only information that I haven't heard anything about is if this thing comes off the rails and we're halfway through it, who's going to get stuck with the bill when they say, oh, we're backing out now? City, residents, we sure can't afford that. I can barely afford assessment on my road. I don't need any more bills unexpected. So I just hope you have an off ramp if that goes south. I have heard nothing about that. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to the council? Last opportunity under general public discussion to speak to the council. Given that we're at the end of public discussion, we will take a short 5 to 10 minute break and allow anybody that wants to leave the room to leave. And then we'll move back into the consent agenda after that.
Can we do that? I think the doors have to be open.
Well, we can shut one of them. Okay. We will move back into the regular agenda. There are no items under motions. Under consent agenda, we have minutes, approval or correction of the October 20th, 2025 City Council continuation minutes. And we do have a correction changing that where it says there were 5 yeas and 1 abstention to 4 yeas and 1 abstention. Councilor Geisler was out of town during that meeting. So every one of those votes on that set of minutes would be changed to 4 yeas and not 5. Next is accounts payable, approved general city warrants from October 16th, 2025 through October 31st, 2025 in the amount of $834,889.29. Do we have a motion relating to the consent agenda?
Motion to approve with the corrections noted.
Motion by Councilor Geisler to approve with the corrections. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor LeBlanc. Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Next, under ordinances, we have ordinance 2025-19, an ordinance amending Hermantown Code of Ordinances by amending section 350, accepted and open streets and roads. This is the first reading. There will be no vote on this evening, but there will be a time for public input and discussion. Mr. Mulder?
This is a section of our code where we list all of the accepted roads. It had not been updated for the last couple of years, so this is just updating roads that we've accepted up to this point, and just to update our list.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that have questions or comments on this ordinance? If so, please come to the podium and state your name and address.
Tom Bates, 5369 Morris Thomas Road, Hermantown, Minnesota.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just wondering about Ugstad Road, where it junctions with Morris Thomas Road and then goes south up over that big hill and then down. It's getting to be like a truck trail. It's really, really rough. I blew out my front shocks and had to do a bunch of work on my car. I was going too fast, but I had fun. Car was kind of floating along, but really seriously, it does need work. It really, really does. If you could put it on the list, a lot of people would really appreciate it.
Thank you. We are aware of the condition of the road, and there may be some action on that in the future. Any other questions or comments on ordinance 2025-19? Last opportunity for public comment on ordinance 2025-19, an ordinance amending section 350, accepted and open streets and roads. Okay, now we will move on to resolutions. Resolution 2025-161, resolution adopting final assessment role for road improvement district number 541 and 542, Hermantown Road and Bridge and Old Midway Road. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Jelly. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder, is there someone from staff you'd like to address this?
Sure. This is the assessment role for Hermantown Road, which was constructed in 2024. And we went through a process where we engaged the residents, talked about that project in 2023, and we started building it. We started planning for it. In 2024, we reconstructed it, and then we held off at that point in time because there was a number of issues that needed to be continued to be addressed. We did that during 2025. We held the hearing on this over a month ago, and then we had the objection hearings at the end of, doing this off the top of my head, October. And then now this is the final assessment role for that project.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
I'd just like to say, I think given the potential for tax growth, we should kick this to next year by tabling it and reevaluating at that time.
Okay, there is a motion on the table.
I'm just saying,
Thank you.
just reiterating what I said in pre-agenda.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from council? Next, we will have public discussion. We have two people that have signed up for discussion on this so far. First is Jonathan Thornton. You could step to the podium and restate your name and address.
My name is Jonathan Thornton at 5869 Hermantown Road. This information will not be new to you, but I wanted to make sure it got into the public domain. This letter or these comments serve as my objection to the assessments of the $9,400 sent on July 22nd of 2025 for the following properties we own, my wife Jenny and I, for the 5869 and the 5417 Hermantown Road where my daughter lives. According to the Minnesota statute 429.051, apportionment of cost, the cost of any improvement or any part thereof may be assessed upon property benefited by the improvement. So based upon the benefits received, keywords, based upon the benefits received, whether or not the property abuts on the improvement and whether or not any part of the cost of the improvement is paid from the county state highway fund, the municipal state highway fund, or the trunk highway fund. Based upon my professional knowledge, with 35 years of experience in selling local residential real estate in the local market, it is clear that the benefits received from this project do not meet or exceed the assessment. The assessment analysis prepared by FI Salter on 10/1/24 uses the income capitalization approach along with the band of investment technique to determine a so-called value enhancement. I'd like to point out that on page 12 of this report, the statistical information obtained to come up with these numbers is sourced from an RERC report. RERC is a company that specializes in commercial real estate data. As mentioned on their website, it says, bringing you the latest insights and perspectives on commercial real estate and markets. They are using data which compares apartment buildings on a tiered basis. This has no relevance for the single-family homes located within the geographic boundaries of this project. When a mortgage lender wants to make sure that a single-family home meets the value that a buyer is willing to pay, the lender hires an appraiser to prepare a report. This report determines the value based on a comparison approach. On page 10 of this report from Mr. Hoff, he even acknowledges that current market conditions prevented him from using the direct sales comparison approach, which is the standard method for determining the value of a single-family home. As such, due to these, this is his statement, as such, due to these unique market conditions, a traditional paired sales analysis did not yield consistent results. Our objection is not simply an opinion based on whether or not we feel we have realized a benefit. Our objection is based upon my 35 years of experience selling single-family homes in the local market. We understand this type of assessing has been going on for years. That doesn't make it right. The statute is clear. The assessment needs to be based on the benefits received, and we have not seen any clear and convincing data that proves this project adds an equal value or benefit to our properties. In addition to this, I presented you with, during my objection hearing, I presented you with letters from 6 or 7 different realtors in the local market. With a combined 120 years of experience.
It's 3 minutes.
With a combined 120 years of experience saying very specifically that this does not add a special benefit to residential real estate in Hermantown.
Thank
I would
you.
also like to mention that
Your time's up, sir.
I would also like to mention that 45 out of the 100, no, 45.
We will have an emergency recess until it can
Something
be
to say, Mayor.
maintained.
45 out of
Chief, would you
96.
take care? Next is Nathan Gilbertson.
Nathan Gilbertson, 5854 Hermantown Road. You have very clearly heard that we know that the method used to assess the properties was incorrect and inappropriate. So we know this, but we also know that the person was an inappropriate candidate. His name is Sanford Hoff. He is a local developer. He is also involved in an assessment agency. He is beholden to the Hermantown City Council to do his development projects. He has been developing in Hermantown for years. He also is the co-developer for Engwalls, the recent defunct Engwalls property, a beautiful heirloom community in Hermantown that is going to be developed, and he is a co-developer. He is beholden to the city council for development. This is called a conflict of interest. Never should you have chosen Sanford Hoff as the assessor, because he will find a way to make it look good. This is a conflict of interest, and almost all court trials that are done are dismissed because of procedural errors. This is a procedural error, and when you go to court for this, you will lose, and you will lose all the money from taxpayers that you are going to defend, and then you're going to lose face even more. We know that this is wrong. You know this is wrong. You know there's no benefit because it has to be increase in market value, and there is none. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council about this?
Absolutely.
Derek Strom, 194, or 5853 Highway 194. You need to listen. The fact that the list was only 2. He was trying to make a point. Big deal that the 3 minutes went by. He was just getting ready to finish up. This is a lack of disrespect that we're talking about. You don't care what any of us have to say about anything. 5 of you have already made your decision about the data center to begin with. But what he was just pointing out on this other point, you didn't care what he had to say either. You're done. 2028 is, you're going to be voted out.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to the council? Please step forward and state your name and address.
My name is Tim White, and my wife Monica and I live at 5467 Hermantown Road. We also own the adjacent undeveloped parcel directly to the east of our property. I'm here today to respectfully ask you that you vote no on this resolution. In short, this assessment unfairly burdens homeowners for what should be considered standard public road improvements, the kind of work that's historically funded through our sizable property taxes, not additional assessments. In addition, this resolution includes inaccuracies on my parcels that should be corrected before being voted on. In the findings of facts section of this letter we received just last week, bullet point 8 states, and I quote, "The ditches, culverts, landscaping, driveway pad, mailboxes, and roadwork was a tangible improvement to the property." This is incorrect. I already provided you with photographic proof showing that these items are the same as before and in some cases worse. For instance, our ditches are still steep, full of standing water, and unmowable. Our 7-year-old culverts and driveway pad, which were in excellent condition, were simply replaced and reinstalled in the same way, adding no value. Our custom mailbox was removed and replaced by a cheap version. Our privacy trees were taken down, reducing the aesthetic and market value of our property. There's simply no evidence of tangible improvements to our parcel that would justify this level of assessment, in this case, $9,400 for each. According to Minnesota State Statute 429, a special assessment must not exceed the special benefit conferred on a property. That benefit is defined as an increase in market value directly resulting from the improvement. Typically, these benefits are sidewalks, sewer, or water service, improvements that clearly or uniquely increase property value. A roadway resurfacing by itself does not qualify as a special benefit under established case law. Your resolution cites an appraisal by FI Salter Appraisals claiming that supports the benefits received. I've reviewed that report. The appraisal attributes increased property value to things like improved accessibility, desirability, safety, lighting, and signage. None of those apply to our properties. We saw no change in accessibility, no new safety features, no lighting, no signage. So how can you use this as evidence to increase the value of our property? Finally, during my last objection hearing, City Administrator Mulder stated that our vacant parcel would not be assessed and I'd only be responsible for our primary parcel. Yet this resolution now shows it also being assessed for the full amount. I've submitted an information disclosure request for recordings of those proceedings. I respectfully ask the council to look closely at the facts and the fairness of this process. The work completed on or near our parcels has not increased our property value, does not meet the legal standard for a special benefit, and includes factual inaccuracies in the city's own findings. If this resolution is approved as written, my neighbors and I will be forced to appeal to the county to ensure that fairness and common sense prevail. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to the council about Resolution 2025-161?
My name is Sarah Lofald. I live at 5502 Hermantown Road. I did not prepare for this one as well as I did for the other one. However, my main concern is I'm wondering why the council did not approve partial payments for this assessment. It's either $9,400 now, or I could pay $14,000 over 15 years, or I could pay the full amount off or something like. It would be extremely helpful for me and my husband if we could do a partial payment, similar to like you would do in any other loan that you would take from a bank, which is unfortunately what my husband and I are looking at doing right now. I don't want to pay more than that $9,400 if I have to, which it sounds like these people who were before me have some really good reasons as to why maybe we shouldn't be paying this assessment at all. However, again, I'm wondering why no partial payments? There's nothing in the Minnesota statute that says you can't allow for partial payments. It would be a benefit for myself and for many of the residents that are on that property that are going to have to dump $9,400 right at the end of the year or pay $14,000 over 15 years, whatever it is. That's my main question to you. Why? It would have been extremely helpful for myself and for others to be able to pay this off in smaller chunks. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mulder, do you have any comments on that?
Well, two things. One is that has historically been the policy of the city council. I mean, in the past, it was because of the fact that the city was taking on the debt and we were incurring the interest, and that's why we would have it so that people paid it over time. If the council wants to change that, we could change that and allow for partial payment. It's a little bit of a, some additional bookkeeping, but we certainly could do that if that's what the city council wanted.
Thank you.
The only other thing I wanted to state, and I meant to say this when the resolution was introduced, and I talked about the process and then I forgot. There were 5 parcels that we were administratively removing from this process. I'm going to read the parcel number and then Joe can give a brief explanation for each one of those. So there's 3 parcels that should be taken off of this for various reasons. 395-0010-08924. And I apologize, I don't have the names with the list at this point. The second one was 395-0010-08680. 395-0010-05240. 395-0049-00270. And then the last one was 395-0010-08403. And maybe Joe could just explain why these parcels shouldn't have been on the list, and we caught it this afternoon.
Mayor and council, that it's a kind of a normal process as we've done this over the last few years, that 3 of those are adjacent properties on a corner. So they're, as we've done with past practices, have an opportunity for folks to choose where their driveway is versus where it's adjacent. In those cases, those folks have gone with the driveway, so that takes 3 of those. One is a entirely unbuildable small lot, and obviously anything that's completely unbuildable, as is past practice with council, that's an opportunity to take that off. And then one's a little bit of a unique piece where a family has some uniquely positioned lots, and one of those lots has a decrepit building that takes up a particular piece of space, so it by default makes it a non-buildable lot. And so those are the 5 that have been removed throughout the process administratively.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to the council about ordinance or resolution 2025-161, final assessment role for Hermantown Road improvement? Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to the council about the resolution? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple of questions. Regarding that partial payment, I mean, the payments are made to the county. They don't come to the city, correct?
The way it works out right now is if they don't pay by the end of the year, it goes on their taxes, and then the payment is made through the taxes. And then that money is collected by the county and then paid to us.
Okay. And then regarding Mr. White's request of that second parcel, was that one of them listed on those 5?
It is not one of those listed on that 5.
Is that something we can look into going forward? If there's 2 parcels that one shouldn't be charged?
So as the person who handles that, a lot of those pieces administratively, I can't speak to what was said in that hearing.
Right.
So if there is concerns that it should have been removed based on that feedback, I think might make sense operationally, and Mr. Mulder got me on that. If that particular parcel it's possible to pull it out during this. I kind of looked at Mr. Mulder on how we would do that.
Right.
Or if it's a piece where there was incorrect information when that vote was held today, we'd circle back and make it right. So the mechanics of a meeting do matter. And I want to hit the mark on that, but more importantly, getting it right. If that's different than the vote here, I'd want to do that the correct way as well.
Thank you. And my question is there a way we can look into implementing some type of partial payment policy before this would go on the tax rolls? Could we?
I had a thought on that. There's no early payment penalty, right? If you take the 4% loan through the city?
If you pay all of it.
If you pay all of it, you don't pay interest. So.
No, I get that, but I believe you can take a 4% loan from the city for $9,400.
It's at it's financed at 5.5%.
5.5, but there's no early payment penalty. So if you wanted a more aggressive payment schedule than the 15 years, you could pay it off quicker than that.
Yeah, it's going to get billed over the 15 years, but theoretically people can pay more and get it paid off faster.
I'm just wondering if there's a way we can look into the possibility of accommodating that partial payment idea before this goes on the record.
Yeah, I'm just thinking through the process is we could have a resolution allowing for partial payment at the next city council meeting. That would get it before we submit it to the county.
Let's try and do that.
Okay.
Any other questions from council?
I guess, Mr. Mayor, I would just like to say that I know it's not everybody's wishes that we do this, but we've been doing this assessment process for 5 years or so, and I believe this is the 4th project. The past assessments were actually higher than 9,400, and that was based on an appraisal we had about 5 years ago. So we took a harder look at this and hired that second appraisal and brought it down to 9,400. And again, I'm just following suit with kind of a policy that we adopted several years ago, and we've been proceeding with these road assessments over the last several years. So I will be voting positively for this to proceed.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Councilor Peterson? Aye. Councilor Geisler?
Aye.
Councilor Jelly?
Aye.
Councilor LeBlanc?
Nay.
Mayor Boucher?
Aye. Next, we have Resolution 2025-162, resolution approving application of assessment roll number 541A-35 for deferral of assessment against the property for the construction of road improvement district number 541 and 542, a hardship deferral. Is there a motion on this?
Move to approve.
Motion by Councilor Geisler to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor LeBlanc. Mr. Mulder.
So we have a process in place where residents who are assessed either for a road project or water or sewer project, if they demonstrate an economic hardship, they can have the assessment deferred. So we had 3 people apply for those deferrals. We went through a process to review those, and those 3 are in front of you.
And this is the first of 3?
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on resolution 2025-162? Any public input on the resolution approving a hardship deferral for assessment roll number 541A-35? If anyone's looking at the printed agendas, the final numbers were changed on these 3 at the beginning of the meeting to be accurate. Last opportunity for public comment on 2025-162. Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is the second of these hardship deferrals. Resolution 2025-163, resolution approving application of assessment roll number 541A-39 for deferral of assessment against property for the construction of road improvement district number 541 and 542 hardship deferral. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor LeBlanc. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Counselors, there's any questions on this one? Is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-163? Any public input on the resolution approving a hardship deferral for assessment roll number 541A-39? Roll call, please.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is the third hardship deferral, resolution 2025-164. Resolution approving application of assessment roll number 541A-89 for deferral of assessment against property for the construction of road improvement district number 541 and 542 hardship deferral. Do we have a motion relating to this?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Jelly to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Geisler. We've already had our explanations. Are any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this deferral resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-164? Is there any public input on the resolution for the hardship deferral for assessment roll number 541A-89? Roll call, please.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-165, resolution approving a special use permit for grading and filling within a natural shoreland overlay area. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Jelly to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder, should we have Mr. Johnson explain this one?
Yes, please.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is a property at 557X Hermantown Road. It's an existing 27-acre lot. It was created earlier this summer by a flag lot from a much larger parcel. This property is in an S1 suburban zoning district. The Rocky Run Creek runs along the western edge of the property, and as part of the natural environment shoreland area, there's a 300-foot overlay on both sides of the creek that basically sets up different requirements associated with it. So as part of that, building setbacks are 150 feet when there's public sewer, and it's 200 feet when there is not. Now, in this case, this is a property that will have well and septic, so the property and any structures will be required to be a minimum of 200 feet away from that actual water body that way. It's anticipated there'll be approximately 7,000 square feet of work within that shoreland area, basically for the grading around the home associated with that. The Minnesota DNR is aware of this application and they did not have any comments. We did have some further discussion as we were discussing it back and forth. The city of Hermantown also utilizes land disturbance permits. And as part of that, it basically shows where and specifies things such as silt fence, bio rolls, et cetera, that be placed along those limits of construction associated with it. So to provide some further safeguards from how close a person can actually get within that shoreland area. This is there'll be another application right after this having to do with an accessory structure, but it's, that accessory structure is outside the shoreland area.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from council?
We saw a site layout. The septic itself meets the setbacks, right?
We will verify that. The septic actually goes through St. Louis County is how that works out that way. So there'll be coordination with that group as well. And we also can verify those things during the building permit time.
Make sure we follow up on that.
Any other questions or comments? Is there any public input on this resolution? Please start with your name and address.
Owen Lyons, 5143 West Arrowhead Road. I own river property. And I cannot touch a tree, a weed within that footage. On a trout stream, it's 150. There should be no grading, filling in that area, 150 feet. You can have a walk path, not exceed 30 feet. That's the way the law is, county and state, and I believe Hermantown should be following that rule. I know that the townships on either side, Midway River, this is a trout stream, and you'd never touch it. So we'll see how your vote comes in. And we'll see how you're going to do with environment in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on this resolution?
Allison Hafton, 5971 St. Louis River Road. I do have some, are you able to answer questions in this exchange?
If they're short, we'll try.
Okay, so my question is, at the last planning and zoning meeting, I believe this same property also received a special use permit for grading and filling within a shoreland overlay. Can anyone verify that? I don't have the exact.
Mr. Johnson?
So the Planning and Zoning Commission, when it comes to special use permits, is a recommending body. They're not an approving body. So
Right.
they recommended approval to the city council, and that's why we're here.
And then it comes here. Okay, thank you for that. What is the length of this shoreland being filled in? Do we know like the square footage of it? Is there a limit? Is there requirements and limitations?
Mr. Johnson?
It's approximately 7,000 square feet of work they're going to do in the shoreland area. And as I previously mentioned, they'll also have a land disturbance permit associated with this, which will further document and show where the limits of those constructions are, as well as the installation of erosion control measures to help protect that creek further.
All right, thank you for that answer. So third question, I hope maybe it's the last, but this is good information, so thank you for the answers. So the setback requirements, 200 feet, is that from the actual edge of the water of the Rocky Run River, or is that from the, what is considered like the delineation or a shoreland? Please shed some light on that for me.
Mr. Johnson?
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. It's from the ordinary high water level that's established by the DNR.
All right. I guess I would just like to say, I don't want to start any, personal disagreement with Mr. Urshan. I understand he might be here, and then I understand Senior Urshan may have been was a past mayor of the city of Hermantown. It does seem to me when I was reviewing some of the documents for Project Loon, the data center, the Urshan name did come up in a few different instances regarding something along the lines of, we need to be aware of what Urshan's response will be. I'm not exactly sure what kind of connection is with the city of Hermantown Council and the Urshans. Definitely seems like maybe there's more than meets the eye. But again, I'm not trying to start a personal debate here. I just think there's some more information that I may like to gather Just ask that you treat everyone in the community with the same level of respect, transparency, and requirements.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this? If so, please step forward and start with your name and address.
Jordan Urshan, 557X Hermantown Road. I know I'm in the lion's den here, but I'm going to read what I wrote. Good evening, Mayor, Boucher, and City Council. Thank you for considering my special use permit to build a single-family home and a storage building. As Eric explained, I'm asking for approval to build a personal residence on a property located on Hermantown Road. Before applying for the permit, I asked the City of Hermantown for guidance to be sure that what I was asking for was within the rules. The selected location on the site is located in the natural environment shoreline area, which extends 300 feet from Rocky Run, and that can be seen on the Hermantown GIS, which is, I believe, county. It's feeded in with a bunch of other stuff, where that 300-foot mark is, and therefore a special use permit was required. The application at Planning and Zoning on October 21st was to place a home between that 200 and 300-foot mark, because the 200 feet is the minimum distance, both in the city's shoreline ordinance as well as the DNR rule. The area the home is going to be built, or would be built, is already cleared and has been maintained as a field when I purchased the property last spring. There's no wetlands on the site aside from the river going through the property. The highest elevation on the property is where I'm proposing to build this to minimize the amount of outside fill that would need to be brought in. Special use permits are not unprecedented. I feel as though this one is under scrutiny though, because of other things happening in this town. Again, I'd like to point out we're not filling in wetlands, which has been rumored. We're not building a development, which has been rumored. Unfortunately, because of the other things happening, this is under scrutiny. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public input on this resolution? The last public input on resolution 2025-165. Roll call, please.
Counselor Peterson? Aye. Counselor Geisler?
Aye.
Counselor Jelly?
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc?
Aye.
Mayor Boucher?
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-166. Resolution approving special use permit for construction of an accessory structure in excess of 2,400 square feet in the S1 zoning district at 557X Hermantown Road and imposing conditions thereon. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Counselor Geisler to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder, would you like to have Mr. Johnson go through this one also?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Eric?
Great. Thank you again, Mr. Mayor and Council. As I mentioned previously, this is 557X Hermantown Road. Once again, a 27-acre lot and S1 zoning. So the applicant is looking for an accessory structure, i.e. garage, 4,200 square feet in size. And as I mentioned previously, this is outside of the shoreland area. The zoning district in the S1 allows up to 30% lot coverage with buildings. The proposal before us this evening, along with any future home, as they've indicated for potential size-wise, would bring that lot coverage to 0.7% of the lot. This application meets the required setbacks as far as the building would go. As part of this, there's no business activity would be part of the approval, and the accessory structure is used for personal storage. In this area of the city, there are other larger accessory dwellings, larger than that 2,400 square feet. So this is something that basically also exists in that area today.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from council?
I guess I would just add just what Mr. Johnson just said is that I can recall several of these. In fact, to the point, maybe we want to start looking at changing this to a larger accessory structure, but just something to think about in the future. But yeah, this is something that we've done multiple times in the past.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Do we have anyone from the public who would like to speak on resolution 2025-166? Is there anyone who would like to speak on resolution 2025-166? Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next, resolution 2025-167. Resolution approving a special use permit for keeping of livestock at 5053 Morris Thomas Road in an R3 residential zoning district. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Peterson to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Jelly. Mr. Mulder, should we have Mr. Johnson cover this one again?
Yes, he's the expert on livestock.
Mr. Johnson.
Just because I had 5 dogs at once upon a time, but they fall more in the small. And I live outside the limits of Hermantown, so I don't have to worry about that, our limit that we have. But joking aside, this is a 10-acre property at 5053 Morris Thomas Road. As the mayor indicated, this is an R3 residential zoning. All of our residential zonings allow for the keeping of livestock, assuming they go through the special use process. So as part of that special use process, we require a site plan from the applicant and basically a review of the property to see that it's actually feasible to keep livestock on these. So what the applicant is looking for is the keeping of 3 small horses and 4 goats on this particular property. What they're indicating is about plus or minus 3.5 acres of fenced pasture land, with that fence being a minimum of 70 feet away from any adjacent property lines. There'd also be small separate pens for the horses and goats that way. There is an existing pole building on this property which would provide shelter for the animals. So once again, when we get into these special use permits for the livestock, we look at, once again, the size of the property, how does this relate to the surrounding properties? And then once again, is there opportunity for forage and shelter for the animals as well? And this application does meet all those things.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from council?
If the animals are a nuisance to the neighbors, what then?
There would be contact with a member of the city staff. We would attempt to document. Basically, usually it's a sound thing. Usually we get those with dogs or chickens sometimes. So we attempt to document sound as best we can, or ask the complainant if they have an ability to document that as well. Assuming that a noise nuisance is found out, then we would coordinate and try to work with that property owner how to mitigate that. And if that can't happen, we have the ability to revoke a special use permit if need be.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Do we have any public input on resolution 2025-167? Is there any public input on the resolution for a special use permit for the keeping of livestock at 5053 Morris Thomas Road? Roll call, please.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Resolution 2025-168, resolution declaring that the road Jenny Farms Lane and the related public infrastructure have been accepted and opened by the city of Hermantown and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and deliver an appropriate certificate thereof. Is there a motion relating to this?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Peterson to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Geisler. Mr. Mulder?
So this subdivision of Maple Grove Road, west of Arrowhead, has been built over the last couple of years. It's been
West of Midway?
sorry, west of Midway.
Thank you.
It was built over the last couple of years. The final work of that road was completed this fall. And so we're ready to accept that road along with all of the necessary stormwater conveyances too. There's no water and sewer on this project, but there's stormwater, ditches, and roads.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? Do we have any public input on resolution 2025-168? Is there any public input on the acceptance of Jenny Farms Lane and related public infrastructure by the city of Hermantown? Roll call, please.
Counselor LeBlanc,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson. Aye. Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Jelly,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-169. Resolution approving pay request number 1 for Keene Creek Trail Segment 4 construction to Veit and Company in the amount of $46,242.20. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Jelly to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder?
So earlier this year, we awarded the contract for building the trail from the park at King Creek to the south, and then also north of Morris Thomas up to the city-owned property there by Carlson, what was the Carlson Road easement. So we started that original work. Some of the work, this is for the payment for that work that's been started.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Hearing none, is there any public input on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-169? It's the last opportunity for public input on the resolution approving pay request number 1 for Keene Creek Trail Segment 4 construction to Veit and Company in the amount of $46,242.20. Roll call, please.
Counselor Peterson. Aye. Counselor Geisler.
Aye.
Counselor Jelly.
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc.
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2025-170. Resolution approving application to conduct off-site gambling for Hermantown Amateur Hockey Association. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Counselor Geisler. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor LeBlanc. Mr. Mulder.
This is a gambling permit that allows them to have a raffle for their, a car as part of their fundraising for the arena.
Thank you. And this is similar to one we had last year, only it's off-site instead of on-site?
Correct.
Yeah, it's the exact same as last year.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
Asking them to pay for part of the rink, we might as well let them do it.
Any other input from council? Any public input on this resolution? Any public input on resolution 2025-170? Do we have any public input on the resolution approving application to conduct off-site gambling for the Hermantown Amateur Hockey Association? Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler.
Aye.
Counselor Jelly.
Aye.
Counselor LeBlanc.
Aye.
Counselor Peterson. Aye. Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Mr. Mulder, is there any need for a closed session this evening?
There is not.
Next, we will have a motion to recess.
Move to recess.
Motion by Counselor LeBlanc to recess. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counselor Jelly. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you all.